Well, welcome, alumni and friends. Thank you for joining us tonight for a special 2020 Viking Days gathering. Though we couldn't join you in person this year, we've been able to celebrate with so many virtually. My name is Joel Gackel, and I serve as the Senior Director of Alumni Engagement here at Augustana University. Tonight, we're blessed to hear from President Stephanie Herseth Sandlin. President Herseth Sandlin earned her undergraduate, graduate, and law degrees from Georgetown University. She became the first woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives from the state of South Dakota and was the youngest woman serving in the House during that time. In September of 2017, she was inducted into the South Dakota Hall of Fame for her contribution to the progress, way of life, and values of the state of South Dakota. This was followed by her inauguration here at Augustana as the 24th president and the first woman to serve in this role. As we celebrated our 100-year anniversary in Sioux Falls, she inspired the Augustana community, alumni, and friends to engage in creating a bold vision for Augustana's future, a vision to launch an innovative and exciting start to our next 100 years. Last December, the Augustana Board of Trustees unanimously approved a new strategic plan, Viking Bold, the Journey to 2030. She is a respected and sought-after thought leader in higher education today, and just recently, she was named to USA Today's select list of Women of the Century in recognition to her significant contributions to the state of South Dakota and to the country. Please welcome President Stephanie Herseth Sandlin.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you very much, and welcome to all of our Augustana alumni and friends this evening. Thanks for joining us for what I think is going to be a really fun evening with all of you to talk about Viking Days 2020 and celebrate. We hope that you and your families are well, that you're staying safe and healthy, and of course enjoying the beautiful gifts of autumn as we have here in Sioux Falls this weekend. We want to extend a special congratulations to the class of 1970. There were a few that were signed up to join us this evening. It's your 50th reunion year, so welcome to the Honor Guard. And for those of you that may have joined us a bit early, it may have sounded familiar to you. The #1 song in October of 1969 during Viking Days of your senior year was I Can't Get Next to You by the Temptations. And we also played a little bit of Michael Jackson. Some of you noticed that and put it in the chat because in honor of the class of 1980, we looked at what the #1 hit was during Viking Days in 1979, and it was Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. So I'm glad everyone enjoyed a little bit of music before we get underway. And look, while I wish we could all be together in person on campus, we're really grateful to have this kind of opportunity to spend some time in a virtual setting. We feel blessed that we can welcome some of you who are near, that may be right here with us in Sioux Falls or South Dakota, but others of you that are in neighboring states across the country, some of you across the globe who've zoomed in either tonight or throughout the week. And it's really allowed us to look at some of the silver linings in the middle of a public health crisis to say, you know what, we're going to just find creative ways to connect with one another. And we really give thanks to spend some time with you tonight. Now, as I mentioned, some of you have participated a bit earlier in the week in different virtual activities. I want to thank you for taking time earlier to connect in different ways and show your support of your alma mater. One of the highlights of the week was on Wednesday evening, there was a Viking Views that featured Professor Emerita of English, Dr. Sandra Looney. She is a proud member of the class of 1962 and taught so many of you over the years. I want to thank her. I know she might be able to join us at some point this evening too. She shared a lot of meaningful messages of poems for uncertain times. How fitting. And based on early feedback, I think some of our reimagined events in this unusual year of 2020 are going to be back by popular demand. And we'll be keeping ways that people can connect with us virtually, even if they can't travel and be right here with us on campus. I also hope as we got started after the music, we showed you a video from Viking Days then, as you saw a few showed photos from the past, but then some video that we captured throughout the week of our current students. The celebrations have changed in some ways over the years, but there are certain traditions that you saw there that remain tried and true. And then, of course, there's this, right? Who would have imagined that we would be having reunion gatherings, having our blast celebration via Zoom? But here we are, and we're going to make the best of it. And so I hope you have a glass of wine or whatever it is you're going to have in your hand here as we spend some time over the hour talking about what's happening at Augustana University, showing you a few other video clips as well that we think you'll enjoy. Our Viking Days Central Committee really has done an excellent job throughout the year. They met for the first time to prepare for this week back in March. On March 1st, they had their first meeting in person, and then they were planning to meet right after spring break. But as you know, we didn't have them come back after spring break because of the pandemic. So their next in-person meeting wasn't until September, late September, a couple weeks before Viking Days was even set to begin. So for those of you that have served on Viking Days committees in years past, when you were students here, you know what a huge undertaking it is under normal circumstances. And this year's leadership team really to be commended for their adaptability, their resilience, a lot of creativity in reimagining our treasured traditions so that they could be celebrating them in a very safe way. They even had a lip sync contest last night that I watched via Facebook Live, and they did a great job. They had their plastic shields so the judges could actually judge them on their lip syncing abilities in the Elman Center. The students have made the best of these circumstances. They produced a reverse parade. You saw a few of the boards that they created. That was on the campus green yesterday afternoon. It was in the 80s. It was just a gorgeous, gorgeous day, and really wonderful and heartwarming for us to spend time with them on such a glorious occasion. So this is Augustana's 160th academic year, and the campus community has now successfully completed 7 weeks of our 13-week on-campus time together for the fall semester under the Viking Flex Plan. Students and faculty, coaches and staff have expressed time and again how good it is to be back together in community, and everyone has adapted well to the necessary health and safety protocols, which have been instrumental in keeping the number of COVID-19 cases, positive cases, really low, and the number of students or staff that we have in quarantine at any particular time very manageable throughout the past 7 weeks. And we're hopeful that the next 6 weeks of the second half of the semester will be similarly manageable, and we have faith and optimism that it will be. So to give you a sense of life at Augustana this fall, we're now going to share our latest AU in Review, which captures what happened on campus during the month of September. Hope you enjoy it. The Sharon Lust School of Education at Augustana University. Today, our bold vision becomes our bold future. John and Janelle, thank you for being bold for Augustana.
Thanks, Mom and Dad!
And good evening, everyone. I'm Josh Morton, proud to be the athletics director at Augustana, and pleased to join President Herseth Sandlin to talk about Viking Bold, the journey to 2030. But first, let's talk about 2020 and this unique academic year. We are now 6 weeks into. One of the alumni questions we got this week was about any positive advancements. So much we hear about the negative side of COVID-19, and we've managed a lot of that. But Stephanie, what have you seen on the positives of how we've dealt with COVID-19?
Well, thanks, Josh. And there have been many, and I appreciate that some of our alumni who've joined us tonight submitted some questions for us to help guide our conversation this evening. First and foremost, the pandemic has reinforced the importance of what we do at Augustana best, and that's celebrate with one another in community. That we enter to learn, we leave to serve. Our students are called here because they are looking at a community that supports them in their vocational discernment, and they desire a meaningful in-person living and learning experience, even in a pandemic. And they really missed what the community meant for them when they couldn't come back after spring break. So a lot of work has gone into the Viking Flex plan designed by us for us, including many of our students who assisted us throughout the summer. As all of you know well, the relationships that you and our current students develop in classrooms, in the labs, in residence halls, throughout co-curricular activities on and off campus, you know, those relationships are just valued so deeply across generations. And the pandemic has really affirmed, I mean, we were really fortunate that we had spent a good part of 2018 visioning together. We spent most of 2019 strategic planning together. And so as we launched a new year, calendar year, shortly after the board approved the plan, you know, a lot of what's happened has affirmed the wisdom of our plan, because it was informed by trends in higher education, as well as the foundation of Augustana as a church-related university that is excellent in the liberal arts and in academics, and that serves the broader community. And so because it's been informed by trends and by our foundation, these trends are now accelerated because of the pandemic. And it allowed us to accelerate parts of the Viking Bold plan to support that quick pivot to online learning back in March. So for example, we completed and invested in an IT infrastructure project that doubled the bandwidth across campus. And we've got some really talented people helping us this evening with this venue in our IT department, both of whom are alums of Augustana that have done tremendous work over the past 7 months. We've implemented the new Canvas learning management system that our faculty have really embraced. And I think that the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Scholarship, as well as the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies, they're all doing great and impressive work to support faculty innovation, collaboration, in order to continue serving students in creative and necessary ways. A few other things in Viking Flex. We have additional options for the students as it relates to campus dining to try to take the pressure off the students all being in the Ordall dining room in the Commons. So we have a market in the Froyland Science Complex. Our dining partner has also instituted a mobile ordering app so that students can do grab and go options. The pandemic has also really put financial strain on so many of our students and families. And so we have announced a tuition freeze for next academic year. We think it's important to communicate to our students now, both returning students as well as prospective students. And there's, again, just been an abundance of innovation and collaboration, creative thinking, and things that we'll definitely want to bring back when we get on the other side of COVID-19, but also things now that we'll look to keep and retain based on either efficiencies or the creativity or new traditions.
Yeah, and a flexible plan that allows us to be nimble. I think that's the, and you saw the Viking Bold, kind of a tease. We'll get to that in a second, but we had another question come in this week from Southern California. And I have to tell you that Sioux Falls today felt a lot like Southern California. 75 and sunny on homecoming week for an athletic director is about a dream. I wish we were playing football, but we'll get there next year. So the question was, how can alumni support students, faculty, and staff during this really unique time? It's a time of uncertainty. Of course, Stephanie mentioned the financial strains on everyone. And I will just start with, for the athletics department, you know, and our student athletes, we finished up a great way to support last night. Our athletics auction, which was a real signature event for Augustana University, usually happens in March, and it's in person. It's a wonderful night. Well, we couldn't do it in March, so finally we decided to take advantage of Viking Days and bring people together. And we finished our online virtual auction last night, and it was just a wonderful way for Vikings around the country to make their impact on Augustana. But what other ways can alumni support faculty, staff, and students, Stephanie?
I want to thank all of you, any of you who participated in a really special thing we did this year, which is so many alumni I've realized over the last few years remember their mailbox and their combination to their mailbox when they come back to campus. So we asked you, we gave you the opportunity, if you remembered your mailbox number, to just write a postcard to the current student who has your same mailbox. And we've gotten such great feedback from our current students who just loved getting these postcards in their mailbox. And, we can keep doing that. That doesn't have to just be a Viking Days week. And so if you want to do an encouraging postcard or note and send it to the student that maybe you don't know personally, but that has that mailbox, or any students that you do know personally that are within your family and friends network, encouraging them throughout the semester. But also, an email or a note goes so far with our faculty. Some of you who Zoomed into their courses this week and then took the time to send an email to share your story of what it was like to sit in their class back in the 90s or whenever it might have been, and where you are today. Those get forwarded then to some of us in administration, because it just makes our faculty's days to hear from students and alumni. So if you can send emails, encouraging words in any medium, we'd appreciate it. The Student Success Center has also launched project-based internships. So if you're still active in your organizations, or even if you're retired and maintain ties with businesses or different organizations in different communities, we would love to know if there are project-based internships. We did a lot of this even throughout the spring when some of our students couldn't come back and do internships somewhere else in the Sioux Falls community. The Student Success Center here at Augustana is really creative and will work with you to help find those meaningful experiential learning opportunities for our current students. Often these project-based internships are paid. They're short-term, again, affiliated with your organization. So don't hesitate to reach out to Mary Toso, also an Augustana grad of 1990. She is our Director of Career Development and Internship. And then, again, within your family and friends network, if you know of anyone who's a freshman or a sophomore or a junior in high school, please encourage them to check out Augustana's website, encourage them to come to campus for a campus visit. All of our health and safety protocols are in place for prospective students and their families. We're taking good care of everyone who comes to visit as it relates to their health and safety. We have annual impact scholarships that I'm going to talk more about. And then, of course, your prayers are always welcome. And however you choose to share those prayers. We have campus ministry that's doing live stream worship service. And if ever there's a certain prayer that you want us as campus ministry, campus community to share for you, one of your loved ones, whether they're on campus or elsewhere across the country, please don't hesitate. We know the power of prayer, particularly in these uncertain times.
Indeed. And so moving to 2030, while we've dealt with the pandemic for the last 7 months, we've also kept our eye on the future. And Viking Bold, the Journey to 2030, focused on 4 pillars and a list of enduring commitments that we've pledged that is essential to Augustana. So at its core, what does this strategic plan, Stephanie, mean to you?
The Viking Bold Journey to 2030 really reflects the mission and core values. It's grounded in the mission and core values. That's what draws all of us to Augustana, whether as young people, as students, or for those of us that may not be graduates of Augustana, but throughout our own professional journeys, finding our way, a calling that brings us to this institution at this time, to be able to serve in a community that's focused on preparing graduates to love and serve the neighbor. And so when I think about Viking Bold and I think about our traditions, whether it's our alma mater, whether it's our fight song, whether it's our music, and we'll talk about music here in a minute, or our athletics traditions. But, we're an academic enterprise. And when I think of Viking Bold, I think of a bold future that elevates the profile of our university and the robust, high quality academic offerings some of which are the same, some of which are new, innovative, reflecting the careers that future students will have, and the different sectors of the economy, and of course, within our mission, serving a diverse world. And so I think that grounded in our mission and core values is, and I'll just draw from campus ministry again, is this common saying of our students enter to learn and they leave to serve, and how we integrate deliberately learning together in community, but how we integrate faith with service and learning is a core part of what I think differentiates the student experience and prepares graduates to serve family, serve workplace, serve community, serve their places of worship as they leave our campus, but hopefully stay connected over many years.
And one of the unique things that as we've dealt with physical distancing and trying to still do chapel, we're now able to do it indoors, but it's been actually, as the weather's been nice to hear hear chapel happening on the campus green. That's been pretty special too. But there's nothing like the chapel, when it's full of beautiful music. An important piece of that was worked on this summer and really is quintessential Augustana. And when you hear it, you're in the chapel.
Yes. And so I want to, thanks Josh, because before I talk about the slide that's up, I want to thank any and all of you who supported a really important project last spring and summer. It was the refurbishment of the John Nordley Tracker Pipe organ. So John Nordley, 1974 alum of Augustana, he removed every pipe, the keyboard, much of the wood, to refurbish and rebuild the organ. It was a months-long project, and just a couple of weeks ago, it was played once again by Marilyn Shemp, again an alumna of Augustana, and some of our students for the first time in many months. When we heard it a couple weeks ago in chapel, it was just extraordinarily moving because it's such a powerful instrument. It sounded so majestic, so magnificent. So again, thank you for your generosity. Nearly 50 donors contributed to this project of about $178,000. Now, John is going to retire this year. So the chapel organ was one of his very first projects of his career, and now it will be one of his last. And so I appreciate you asking about it, Josh. I do want to then transition to this particular slide because before the pandemic hit, the picture there that you see in the upper left-hand corner, Pastor Ann Rosendale and Patty Grinsell, the office coordinator in campus ministry, traveled with a number of our students down to the southern border. They spent time in a service learning project. So, whether it's on campus or the service learning travel and projects that our students undertake that I'm sure many of you were involved when you were at Augustana, this was a week-long immersion experience over spring break. The students heard stories of migrant people and their journeys. They attended an immigration court hearing. They met with Border Patrol agents, shared meals with local Latino families. They served with organizations aiding refugees and asylum seekers. And one of the organizations they met with is headed up by one of our alums down there. So they were able to return safely to Sioux Falls on the heels of learning about COVID-19 and its spread before moving to online classes. But then, as Josh mentioned, you see there our outdoor worship that we have just set up on the south side of chapel. We've been doing a lot with those of our students and our faculty in interpretive sign language. Many of us are learning more during our worship services because that's something that's safer to do. And then the other picture you see there was last year before the pandemic. These are our Covenant Award nominees and winners. And this is through Verdier Week and focused on Augustana's core values and students that are nominated by peers and faculty and staff. Again, as I mentioned, we're live streaming. One of the benefits of new technology, we're live streaming worship on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 o'clock. So please join us if you're able.
And one of the best, when I started working at Augustana 2.5 years ago, one of the first signs I noticed was outside the chapel. It says, "Enter to learn and leave to serve." And it is, you've mentioned it a couple times already, and it is quintessential Augustana. And one of the important pieces of our academic strategic plan kind of ties the two together too, with the new medical humanities and society minor.
Yes. Yes, and this is Anna Boyens. She is the daughter of Dr. Scott Boyens and Dr. Beth Boyens, who's now tenure track faculty in our English department.
And
Dr.
her
Boyens,
dad is our current team physician, I will
that's
say, and
right.
former Augustana football player.
Yes, indeed. That's right. We got to get their sports background in too. But Anna is one of our current students, and she is one of the first students to enroll in this new minor of medical humanities and society. She's in the class of 2021, so she'll be graduating next spring. She's a biology and Spanish double major on the pre-med track. And this particular minor is part of our new Center for Interdisciplinary Studies that's part of our Viking Bold campaign, and one of 2 new undergraduate programs that we've launched. So it's an 18 credit minor, and among its goals is for students to better understand what it means to be human, to become informed about current issues in healthcare and medicine. And it requires students to examine the complexities of illness, the complexities of health and medicine and healthcare. And we're really excited because we've talked to some deans of medical schools or dental schools, and some of the feedback we've heard from them is this type of training at the undergraduate level, this type of minor, really served them well in their graduate studies. The other undergraduate program that's new is the Environmental Studies major, that provides training and skills necessary to help our graduates lead the world toward a more sustainable and resilient future. Very popular new major as well. We've had a lot of student organizations focused on sustainability, and a grant that we received 3 years ago that's helping us do some work throughout campus and in the curriculum. But this brings together perspectives of multiple disciplines, ranging from environmental chemistry, photography, computer science, and anthropology, to environmental philosophy, theology, business, and nature writing. So students are going to learn to examine, better understand the environment through an engagement with society, history, and culture, through the study of law, ethics, justice, and policy, and through the study of ecology and the mapping of data through GIS software.
So many great programs that are obviously so impactful and helpful to recruiting great undergraduate students, and a lot of buzz around Sioux Falls, as well as we've launched an Augustana MBA program. That was also one of our alumni questions, was some of the details on the MBA program, which has launched. And I know for me, as you get around Sioux Falls, you just hear people asking about it, because I think they were longing for it, for Augustana to offer an MBA, and here we are this year now offering it.
Yes, it's just terrific too. So we were hoping for a first cohort this fall of our current undergraduates in our 4+1 offering of the MBA, and we have 21 enrolled. So we're just thrilled. Our new program director, Dr. Anissa Gearing, very excited to get this 4+1 option underway. The 2-year option is for working professionals, and that first cohort will start next summer of 2021. We've already had a lot of interest, pending applications, so we're hoping for a cohort of at least 18 in that 2-year program as well. So the 4+1, as I mentioned, the students, they will start taking graduate level courses in their 4th year as an undergraduate, but then they will have that 5th year and will leave with the MBA program in addition to their bachelor's. For the 2-year program for working professionals, that's a hybrid program. It'll be delivered both online and in the classroom, and it'll provide added convenience to working adults who want the flexibility of online courses, but also having a classroom experience with peers and faculty. So it's not an all online offering like some of the other MBAs that are offered in the region. And unique to the Augustana MBA degree is a leadership academy. According to Dr. Gearing, only less than 10% of MBA programs across the country have this organizational leadership component. So we're really excited to align students with mentors who are leaders in respective fields. Some of them will be here in this community, but we also are looking for mentors across our alumni base and other communities as well. And the intent is to provide an invaluable link between the academic theories with on-the-job realities in order to build upon community integrated learning to address public and business needs. So really adding value from day one as students, many of whom will benefit from tuition assistance programs that their employers provide, blending in some projects from their own workplaces into the projects that will be part of their MBA experience.
Yeah, and it's so exciting, I think, on two levels, the undergraduate opportunity, but then on the graduate side, I think when those of you who are in Sioux Falls or those of you who have followed Sioux Falls and the trajectory of our community and the business economy, the business climate in our city is so good that this is just one other way to really enhance it. Another question that was submitted this week from alumni was specifically about physics.
Yes.
And some details on how many majors there are.
Yep.
And I'm going to let you handle that question.
Please, our physics, we've got just all of our academic departments, just have outstanding faculty. I got a chance to meet many of our physics department faculty in the summer before I started, because so many of all of our physics faculty have, whether they're National Science Foundation grants or NASA grants, which afford great undergraduate research opportunities during the summer. And so we have currently 47 declared physics, engineering physics, and dual degree engineering majors this fall, 47. And all, as I mentioned, all faculty are grant recipients. Now, in addition to our bachelor's degree program, we continue to maintain 3+2 partnerships between physics and engineering programs with Washington University in St. Louis and Columbia University in New York. And just earlier this year, we executed a memorandum of understanding with South Dakota State University for engineering. So we're really, and our physics faculty have some great ideas for how they might offer and integrate more interdisciplinary offerings, but also looking out on the horizon for their majors, their students, for what they can do to perhaps offer an additional field of study here at Augustana as part of the Viking Bold journey to 2030.
And many of the programs we're talking about in the whole strategic plan are about differentiating Augustana. Decades of experience in doing that. We've been educating leaders and educating future leaders in education for a long time, including our very own 1981 grad and current Executive Vice President, Chief Strategy Officer, Dr. Pam Holman. She's the former superintendent of the Sioux Falls School District. She also worked with one of our great alumni families to establish and celebrate their family ties by naming the new School of Education, and really a highlight of our first semester. You see the picture there.
Yes, and you saw it featured in the video as well. And I know Dr. Holman has joined us this evening. Really credit to her working so closely with alums there on the right of the screen, John and Janelle Lust, both graduates of Augustana. Janelle in 1991 and John in 1990. Their sons, Joe and Jack, also students of Augustana. Jack is a sophomore, and Joe just graduated. He's a 2020 graduate, one who we'll have back on campus next spring for a special commencement ceremony for that graduating class. But when we embarked on Viking Bold, creating a school of education was among our first priorities. And thanks to the Lust family and their incredible generosity, we were able to name our School of Education the Sharon Lust School of Education in honor and in memory of John's mother, Sharon Lust, who dedicated her life's work to teaching and positively impacting countless young people throughout her career. Now, our vision for the Lust School of Education builds on Augustana's longstanding tradition of providing an education of enduring worth, as well as creating new and innovative interactions of teaching and learning that will inspire a new generation of students for years to come. As Josh alluded to, because of the pandemic, this renewed appreciation among so many families and communities again across the globe for the role of the educators, the role of education professionals in the classroom, or how they're delivering curriculum virtually. And so we're really excited for the work of Dr. Lori Daly, the dean of this new school, and elaborating and enhancing our 6 distinctive programs, whether elementary education, secondary, all grades, special education, the master's programs, interpretive sign language, communication disorders. I mean, just sky's the limit for what we can do in the School of Education.
And the power of philanthropy, it's remarkable for the Luss family to not only to want to honor Sharon, but just to think of the impact that will have on current students and faculty is just, it is phenomenal. You talked about the renewed appreciation, I think, for all of us, especially parents who appreciate teachers, now probably more than ever. And in my 2.5 years at Augustana, I've really grown to appreciate our music students. So while I can't see you all, I would ask you, raise your hand if you were part of the choir, the band, orchestra, or part of the music ensemble when you're at Augustana. I can't see you all, but I'm guessing there's a lot of hands. So another exciting piece of our plan is establishing the Augustana School of Music.
Indeed, and I'm very excited to talk about the School of Music. I was a music minor in college, and every time I hear our ensembles perform, I'm moved, I'm heartened by just the joy it inspires, their talents that they continue to cultivate, which we know, whether they're music majors, even if they're not, they're continuing to share of those talents in communities that they choose to live and work and raise families. So we have extraordinarily talented faculty and students in the School of Music, and an extraordinarily energetic new dean, Dr. Peter Folliard, for the School of Music. And 2021, next year, is a real milestone for music at Augustana, because the choir celebrates its 100th year, as does the Augustana Orchestra, which was the foundation for the South Dakota Symphony Orchestra. And the Augustana Band turns 125 years old. And we thought of no better way to honor our past than by revitalizing a lost piece of our history, and that's the marching band. And so we have a drum line that's already been established. We have new costumes. I got a sneak peek of what you see on the right-hand side of this slide. And we are really excited for them to take the field next fall and help build new traditions on campus and in our community. So Josh, I know you've had a little taste of the drum line.
I did, and I cannot wait for the full marching band. But just, I guess, let me just paint you a quick picture. So a week ago, last Friday, about 4 o'clock on our campus, talked to Dr. Folliard about surprising our football team with the drum line coming and lining by the tunnel when they walked to practice. And it was such a terrific experience because, our football team, we are allowed to practice. We're not competing, but they are practicing 3 days a week. And so it's kind of the end of the week. And, you can tell guys probably a little bit tired and sore. And I can't tell you what it was like to hear those drums, because for all of us, it sounded like fall. It sounded like football. I had an assistant coach come up to me and tell me that he had chills to hear it. I did too. So I can't wait till we can start playing games again to hear those sounds all the time. And I've always loved to, over the last few months, hearing from Dr. Peter Folliard, the Dean of the School of Music, to make his presentation on a program that is once again a differentiator for Augustana and a true entrepreneurial spirit. And and some of the details are really neat to hear because it's really cutting edge, Stephanie.
Yes, so collegiate music education has long served those who aspire to perform classical music, and then we teach future teachers of music, by and large, through teaching classical music. And Augustana School of Music is by no means going to turn our back on that tradition, but we want to equip musicians with a broader skill set in multiple musical styles, including popular and jazz mediums, including our Northlanders Jazz Band. And as we expand students' musical scope, we want to equip them with the technical and entrepreneurial skills necessary to share their talents and creativity in this increasingly digital world. So the School of Music is in the process of building a degree program that has 3 areas of study that you see here: a foundational music curriculum, the core curriculum like music theory, keyboard skills, and then on Augustana's entrepreneurship minor, which offers courses in marketing, small business management, and the like. And the third and most innovative piece is a series of courses and professional certifications on Avid's software platforms in music notation, audio, and video editing. So what is Avid? AVID. Avid is the company that makes the industry standard software for nearly all of the major media producers in the world. Entertainment companies like Disney, broadcast companies like NBC, film studios like 21st Century Fox, they all use Avid software. Now, the statistics are really overwhelming, and this is what students in our creative fields want to do. But through a partnership with Avid, we can create a program that allows students to graduate and enter these fields immediately. So if our students want to venture to New York City or Los Angeles, they can find Avid training here. And this is something that no one is doing in the heartland. So Augustana aspires to be a leader in this space, and we're thrilled about the School of Music and its embrace of technology and continued efforts to build on our strong history at Augustana as it relates to music and bringing community together through music.
And you can see those kind of entrepreneurial thinking and the how that can attract new students. School of Music has been working closely with our admissions team to expand the funnel of prospective students with programs like this. And then you think of scholarships. Scholarships always play such a key role in higher education, and a new scholarship addition that we've added as part of Viking Bold to fit the needs of today. Never forgetting about what's ahead tomorrow, but what can we do today for our students?
That's right. So let's talk a little bit about impact scholarships that will help us drive enrollment and partner with families. So alumni and friends are demonstrating a great interest in supporting annual expendable scholarships. These annual scholarships provide critical resources to support new student enrollment, as well as support upper level students with financial challenges. Maybe if they experience those to a greater degree in their sophomore or junior year, we want to continue to be able to help them. Now, a number of impact scholarships have been created already, including but not limited to first generation impact scholarships to support those who are the first in their families to go to college. Some are to support more specifically domestic students of color, including students from Native American communities, but also students right here in Sioux Falls that have either grown up here or relocated here when they were in elementary school, middle school. And then we have life-changing experience impact scholarships, pay it forward impact scholarships. Our Board of Trustees established an impact scholarship to help, particularly during the pandemic for COVID-19 financial strains for certain families for upperclassmen. And these impact scholarships, the minimum is $1,000 annually to support them, but they complement our traditional endowed scholarships. And many of you have family endowed scholarships. I see as those of you that came into the Zoom tonight, I've had a chance to get to know many of you and been so generous in establishing those and continue to increase your level of support for those endowed scholarships. Over 600 families have established them. And Augustana Family and Friends, again, it's just another way for some maybe of our graduates that aren't yet at a point in their career where they've got $25,000 cash to establish an endowed scholarship. But from a cash flow budgeting standpoint, they'd love to do $1,000 a year over the next 5 years to support one of our students. It's just another option that a lot of our alumni and donors are really excited about.
And while we never forget about the importance of endowments, and we need to continue to build our endowment, I think the value of the impact scholarship is that it's worded correctly. The true impact is today, and especially for those to consider, for people to consider that doing it over a multi-year period allows Augustana to just plan for the future, to plan for the next 3 to 5 years is so important. And if there's a better investment than in higher education, I don't know what it is. So I want to now move on to the next slide, which has 4 great pictures that I want to share with you. And if there's anything that this slide shows, I think it's about excellence, right? But when we talk about building champions at Augustana, it isn't just about raising trophies. It's about champions in the classroom and the community as well. So what you see here is top left, the men's basketball team won the national championship in 2016. Softball won the national title in 2019, baseball in 2018, and our individual national champion, our latest, was in 2019. Olivia Montez Brown won the indoor pentathlon. And one of the things I'm most proud of from this calendar year for our athletics department is that we created a new philosophy statement for our department. And I'll just read it to you, but it says, basically, in support of Augustana University's mission, Augustana Athletics aims to provide a student-athlete centered experience committed to distinction in the classroom, excellence in competition, and faithful service to community.
That's wonderful. Josh, I want to commend you for your leadership focused on our student athletes, really a focus on nutrition, health and well-being, including mental health, how well you've worked with our head coaches, but also our student athlete advisory committee and some outstanding leaders, not just in athletics, but across campus, who've been really involved as it relates to mental health among college students, performance training, the partnerships you've helped develop with the Sanford Sports Institute, as well as Dean Foods, so that what we can do for our student athletes, we then try to pull through other parts of campus to provide from a wellness standpoint for all of our students here at Augustana. So thank you for the great work that you've done in your 2.5 years at Augustana. For those of our guests tonight, we won a national championship in baseball 2 weeks after Josh joined us. So
That's right.
We were excited to be in North Carolina together, and then again in Denver the following year, celebrating another national championship for Augustana softball.
Yes, we're fortunate to have terrific coaches who then bring terrific student athletes to Augustana. And another alumni question this week that came in regarding our goal of transitioning to compete in Division I athletics. You know, this summer, our first attempt to join a league fell short. So the question is, what's next? And can you please provide an update?
Most certainly. So as Josh mentioned, after 2019, when we had spent most of the year doing due diligence, we had engaged a national consultant, we had developed financial pro formas, we had looked at how we might be able to make this transition from the investments that we've made consistently since 2004 in our sports programs, in our student athletes, in our facilities. It really affirmed for us that this is the right long-term positioning. But I don't think that it helped us in our application with the Summit League, despite how strong it was, despite what I thought was a really strong virtual site visit where a number of folks across the university answered the questions of those that the Summit League had made part of that site visit. I don't think that the timing associated with the University of St. Thomas and whether or not they were going to get their waiver this summer, that our application was evaluated before they got their waiver to go from D3 to D1. I don't think COVID-19 helped us. And yet the answer we got was, look, they were pleasantly surprised. Some of the schools in the Summit League didn't realize that we had enrollment growth over the last 8 years, that our endowment had grown to be so strong, stronger than the endowments of some current Summit League members, that we clearly have this competitive excellence and the type of student athlete that we draw, just really high academic performers, both in terms of their college entrance exams, but also their GPAs that they earn while they're at Augustana. So we're exploring some other options, although we're staying in an offensive posture here because there's a lot of movement. The Summit League said no, not right now, but they didn't say no, never, right? There could be changes in membership in the Summit League. We had gotten some outreach from 2 other conferences, Division I, as soon as we had announced this is an aspirational goal back at the end of 2018. There's a lot of movement right now in intercollegiate athletics. So if we keep applying the lessons that we've learned through this process, we continue to maintain a focus on our current student athletes and what they need to stay competitive in the NSIC, to continue to win, to continue to have academic success, but also continue to build out our programs deliberately as we have over the last 16 years, over the course of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, however long it takes for us to get an invitation, and then to start that 4 to 5 year process of transitioning. But we don't have an invitation, that's the threshold, but we are continuing to share information informally with some other conferences as they request it, just because, like I said, there's a lot of movement. We want to be ready if we feel the time is right for us to start that transition, hopefully here in phase 1 of the new strategic plan.
And as we've talked about, the best thing for Augustana to do is to continue to pursue excellence when it comes to competition. Our overall GPA for 400 plus student athletes, our cumulative GPA last year was 3.41. We keep adding academic programs. And we've looked at this, the idea of Division I, while it gets a lot of attention and is mostly focused on athletics, this is an institutional move. And it really, when you saw that first page of Viking Bold that talked about, it goes along with everything, with academics, physical campus, scholarships and enrollment. So it all goes together. And so that's why I think that's what also separates Augustana as a differentiator, is that this idea of being a Division I institution is not just focused on athletics. And one of the things, the other key pieces of the strategic plan is about our physical campus. And for those of you who maybe haven't been back to Augustana in a while, I can't wait for the day when we reach 2030, or even before, because we're going to start to do some things and you come back to campus and you don't recognize it. The physical campus will continue to evolve, and it's one of the, it's also one of the real exciting pieces of Viking Bold.
It really is. And again, because we've approached all of this in a comprehensive way, it really helps attract the interest of other partners, whether they're right here in Sioux Falls in this growing community, in our region, other partners in higher education, like with Evidence in Motion for our new doctorate in physical therapy degree that we're working on as a hybrid accelerated offering, or potential partners for innovative financing arrangements to allow us to move on more projects simultaneously on campus, particularly as it relates to student housing and renovating our current housing stock. This is a busy picture, but I wanted you all to see, one of the big pieces of progress so far in 2020, since the board approved the strategic plan, the Viking Bold strategic plan, is to complete a campus master plan and to have approval from the Board of Trustees last April for this comprehensive campus master plan that doesn't look at, it's not just the facilities, it's the landscaping, it's the parking, it's the flow of campus, the wayfinding through campus. Our academic buildings are in outstanding shape. And thank you to all of you that have generously supported the Froyland Science Complex, the Madsen Center, the Frixell Humanities Center, whether it's home for social sciences, natural sciences, humanities. Our academic buildings are either recently renovated or new. Now, and of course, if you're familiar with the library, the Mickelson Library, Center for Western Studies, but we do want to give some facelifts to the commons and the chapel. We would love to restore Old Main, and we have a lot that we would love to do, right? But we need to start with student housing. Our current housing options are starting to be a variable that's playing, that's not playing in our favor. I think it's playing to our competitors for students, whether they continue to be in ELCA, like Gustavus, St. Olaf, Luther, or SDSU, USD, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So we're hoping that sometime in 2021, we can actually start a new construction and renovation project. We're going to be very diligent about and deliberate about this so that we don't overbuild, either in terms of too many beds or over amenitize. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something culturally appropriate for Augustana's campus. But we do think something special down by Berg Soccer and Solberg that would be modest new construction, kind of a village type community there, so that we can have new beds while we renovate Berg Soccer and Solberg. Then you'll see up on the north side of campus, we own all of those properties now across from the towers. And so we'd love, just like we've built new apartment buildings along Summit Avenue across from the Madsen and the Froyland, we'd love to be able to build some innovative apartment options for upperclassmen across from the towers. So we're really focused on student housing for phase one, as well as our hopes to renovate and perhaps add on a west expansion to the Commons. So we're really pleased with how everything's come together, making good progress on this new strategic plan, in addition to the Viking Flex COVID-related plan for how we're operating in this unusual time for fall semester. But with that, I'll turn it back to Josh, because I think we have another video to show before we do a final toast for the evening.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. So the future is bright because the future is bold. Thank you for the updates, and for all of you tonight, we'd like to share a video that we hope inspires you and reinforces your excitement and confidence in Augustana's bright and bold future.
It begins with a sense of purpose, a purpose to discover, bringing thoughts, ideas, and people together. Augustana is on a bold and faithful journey to inspire and create, to learn and serve, and to lead in a community like no other. Augustana University, your bold future starts here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all again for joining us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it, kind of an intersperse of presentation and videos and updates. It really means a lot to all of us to be able to connect with you, share this good news. We appreciate, again, all the encouragement that you're giving us at this really important time at Augustana University. The students, faculty, staff, we celebrate you. We celebrate the ties that bind us, that keep us together, that make us stronger. And I just am so grateful, as I know my colleagues tonight are, for your ongoing care, love, and support for Augustana. So we're going to conclude this evening with a special toast, but first a little background, a little history to inform the toast. So 35 years ago, in 1985, the Owls statue was created by legendary Augustana art professors Palmer Eide and Ogden Dalrymple. The sculpture, commissioned for Augustana's 125th anniversary celebration, is entitled Hindsight, Insight, and Foresight, and was intentionally placed between the Commons and the chapel in the center of campus to encourage all to ponder the greater purpose of a college education. The faces of the owls were designed to represent the three phases of a student's experience at Augustana. The hindsight gained as one looks back on experiences, insight as one grows in knowledge and gains new perspectives, and foresight as one looks ahead, knowing that the comprehensive Augustana experience in education will better prepare one for all that the future may hold. Now, nearly 10 years ago, during a special campus pilgrimage for our students, Dr. Sandra Looney shared the following about the Owls statue. Quote, "Look carefully and see carved into the concrete form of the owls the energy and wisdom of the artists whose work reminds us that through hindsight, we grow in wisdom. Through insight, we come to wisdom. And with the foresight born of these, we go confidently into our future." Now for the toast. Please raise your glasses. To all of you, Augustana alumni, when the world needs you now more than ever, as graduates of a very special place and institution, forever grounded in an education of enduring worth, leading and serving your families, professions, and communities with hindsight and insight. With the foresight gained from Augustana's past and our present, we proceed together boldly on the journey to 2030. Skål! Cheers! Thanks again for being with us. May you and your families remain safe and well. May you have time to enjoy the many blessings of Thanksgiving and Christmas, and may God be with you until we all meet again. As we depart, Please stick around, enjoy each other's company through the chat or waving. And we've got a few more musical hits, all right, from 1970 and 1980, including one from Blondie. So stick around. Great to see you. And again, cheers to all of you.